Live stream's gonna work. This is good. This is a good sign, man.
For now, work.
That's oh yeah, the going live on YouTube
Yeah.
often doesn't work.
Really?
I mean, not
Okay.
often, but kind of 3%. All right, you ready?
All right, let's do it.
Hey, welcome everybody to the weekly edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show. Today, we are talking about a rebound from the soft rental market. Numbers are up. JWB's breaking records. We're going to talk about what the numbers are, how we got there, whether or not we've outperformed the market prior, and just how a team continually improves through a soft market. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez. Greg Cohen is away this time, but I have AJ Fuller, the leasing manager at JWB, local legend around here. AJ, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello, everybody. Local legend. That's a great title. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's called me that, but Pablo did, so I appreciate it.
I mean, I've seen you on like the teammate videos. I see you presenting at TMM. I mean, you have a leadership position here, right?
I do. I do take that seriously, and I'm proud of that. But I duck my head and I grind and do as best I can.
Local leasing legend, bro, the triple L. And I know that you've watched the show before. You know that we have a little tradition that we start the show with, right?
Oh yeah.
You know what it's called?
I was gonna help you out with this, but I'm gonna let you.
What's it called?
It's
the roll call, man. Let's go.
I was about to do that, but I'm just so nervous. I can't do that.
It's okay. You're good. Just hang out here with me. We got our leadoff hitter, John Hanning, kicking us off. We got Chris Lee from Fernandina Beach with a hello all. We got our favorite smile from the Pacific Northwest, Pamela Myers. We got Jay Curra, past star of the show, past ride-along partners. We got the number 2 Steelers fan in the Not Your Average Invest Show community, rockin' and Rockland, Lewis Hudnell. We got LinkedIn Lowry from Jackson Beach. Good to have you. We got the man of steel, Vincent Barber Wright from Long Island. We got Layla Powell in the house, teammate Layla Powell.
Yeah.
Every time we have a teammate on, I know that teammates show up, right? Like it's always we get the JWB teammate boost.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Hey, Layla.
Hey Layla. We got world famous composer John Williams from New York and Long Island. Do you know who John Williams is, the composer?
I do not.
He's like the guy that like composed E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park. He just has the same name. I'm assuming, or maybe
that's it.
I don't know. With Jeff Moroncow, another legend in his parts in DC area. We got the Mountain Man. You know who he is?
I've heard the name. I heard it at the summit, I believe.
Willie Green.
Yes.
From the blue sky mountains of Colorado. We got our regulars, Gary and Rosalind Riley from Marietta, California. We regard you. We got Lita Song, beautiful investor from Minnesota. Linda Evans is back. Good to have you, Linda. Susan Parker checking in. We got the first family of the Not Your Average Invest Show. Ken and Carolyn Moline, patriarch and matriarch. We salute you. Chris Trailer in the house. And all right, that's a good.
Chris is another teammate.
Yeah, for sure. Jamis LLC here. If you're checking in with a Not Your Average Guest, you got to tell me who you are. So Jamis is helping out. Oh, milady, Jag Chadha in the house, sculpting and listening. That sounds awesome. That sounds like a Patrick Swayze movie or something like that.
Yeah, do a little bit of sculpting and listening.
A little sculpting and listening. I like it.
Sounds like a great day.
I like it. All right. Sounds like a nice little Tuesday.
It does.
AJ, first time on the show.
It is the first time on the show. I was supposed to be on the show about 6 months ago. I'm not nervous to be on the show. I was nervous to do the roll call. I would have destroyed that. I'm glad you did it.
Got it. Thank you for balancing me out. You have I feel like I have to match your energy. You have like a very like mellow, confident energy where I'm like erratic energy.
That's good. That balances out.
It's
right? I think you should be erratic and I can be the mellow road.
I like it.
I think it'll work.
I like it. It's kind of like me and Greg.
Yeah.
Kind of like me. Same. All right, man. So let's get into it. One of the reasons why we wanted to have this show is JWB has had some just like monster numbers coming out of the leasing department. You're the captain of the leasing department.
Yes.
Just kind of bring us up to speed on when I say monster numbers, what are we talking about and what do these numbers mean to you?
Yeah. So let's lead off first. Very monster numbers, very historic. So what do I mean by monster? Well, I mean, Q1 of 2025 was our best quarter as a leasing team ever. We never hit this number. I'm going to hide it a little bit. I'll say it here in a moment. But it was big. We had a goal for ourselves and we shattered that goal even. So the goal we set for ourselves was 473 rentals. And that was a very audacious goal. Even that itself would have been a record for us. Our previous record before then was 432, if I'm not mistaken, in quarter one of 2023.
Let's define that number.
Okay.
473 rentals means that there was 473 vacancies that got filled, or people got renewed, or like what goes into that?
Yeah, so just on vacancies that got filled, we actually took a deposit for your property, and it went under contract, and somebody is planning to move into there. Correct.
Got it. Cool. Do you want to share what the number was?
I will share the number. So
average quarter for JWB in your, as you've been here, is around 400.
It's probably around the 350 to 400 range. Like I mentioned, our best quarter ever was 432, and that was in 2023, quarter one, if I'm remembering correctly. But like I said, we set out a goal for 473, and we thought that was big, and we were going to do it and crush a record, but we shattered that even.
Okay.
Did I tell them what we came in
at? Tell them, man.
We came in at 600 rentals
600
quarter
rentals.
one, which is just monstrous.
The process that it takes to do 600 rentals. Talk to me about that.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of vetting. I want to give kudos to our marketing team. I think they did a phenomenal job for us this quarter. I want to give a shout out to all of our agents on the team as well. They grind and answer those phones. So the process it's pretty simple and straightforward for the most part. A prospect's going to contact us at some point, whether it be through email, phone, whatever method they can. And then from that point, the agent is going to push them forward in the process as much as possible. We're going to try to get them to view a property. We're going to try to get them to actually, attend that showing. We're going to try and get them to complete an application. Then we'll review the applications, we'll process it, and then from that point, once we can get them approved, we want to push them to placing a deposit and committing on a property. And then once they put down the deposit, that's one of our rentals, and we did that 600 times. So
600 times in 90 days.
Is pretty nuts.
What's the math on that daily? I'm trying to do public math out here.
Daily, I don't know. I'm not that quick at math. I need a calculator, but monthly, you're talking 200 a month. I think our average weekly on that was somewhere north of 40 a week. We did have 1 week that was pretty monstrous as well. We had 1 week where we took 73 deposits in 1 week.
Wow.
So it was a pretty monstrous week.
Okay. And that is, so you had 600, you filled 600 units, Q1, January through March.
Correct.
The increase from last year, right? Like we like to go year over year of how the market's doing. What was Q1 of 2024?
Q1 of 2024 was 384 homes. So that's obviously a huge difference. We're talking about 220 some odd homes there. And that was an increase of about 56% increase over last year's Q1. Now, mind you, I mentioned earlier, 2023 was our record year. So it was Q1 of 2024 was a drop from 2023. But you can see that we rebounded very well here.
Awesome. So is this a sign that the market is strengthening in your opinion? Is this just kind of like a rebound from having like an elevated number or like growing amount of units that you have? Kind of like what's your diagnosis of like what's happening here?
Yeah, my diagnosis is I do think the market is rebounding a little bit for rentals. There's a consulting firm I follow, MMG, out of Boston, and they've said that it would be kind of lagging towards the end of the year. I think maybe just the miss on that was it happened a little bit earlier than expected, right? Obviously in our market, there's a little bit less multifamily starts this year, which is obviously a big thing that would increase inventory. So the starts being lower means our inventory is kind of staying flat, but our demand is increasing because we still have people moving here. So I think just seeing the same thing that was kind of expected a little bit earlier and maybe a little greater than normal. So.
Got it. So inventory has remained flat because the multifamily blitz that happened over the last 2 years has chilled.
Yes.
Demand seems to be higher than expected, meaning Jacksonville is growing a little bit faster than predicted.
Correct.
That leads to, this like massive rebound of like, it leads to a monster overall number. But within that, it is essentially a 56% increase in the amount of properties that you rented year over year.
That's correct.
So that's a big number.
Very big.
Yeah. So that's year over year increase of how that's happening. We were talking last quarter, right? Like the advice we were giving on the Q4 market update, and even kind of like ending Q3, we were talking about this like softer market. Was that something you and your team were feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. You could tell there was just less leads coming in, less inquiries, less people calling in to the office looking for homes. So it definitely, we definitely felt it and we were very aware of it. But as soon as the new year rolled around, and I'd say even the second week of the new year was when things really started firing off for us. So last quarter, for instance, we we ended the quarter with a little over 400 homes on the market, which is not obviously a great number, but that's reality. That's the world we live in. And then quarter one, we ended the quarter with just over 200, about 211 homes.
So you halved the amount of homes that you had out on the
We
market.
dropped it in half.
Wow. Okay. So that's a big improvement. Jag is asking, what are the KPIs that you track on your side, like your department? What are the KPIs that you track?
Yeah, so big things we track. The main one that we track, that's a great question, is MTMI, which stands for market to move in. So we want to look at the time a home hits marketing. So this is after it's gone through a property turn, once it's newly been through construction. As soon as the marketing team has it and we have it on our hands, we can rent it till the time we move somebody in. So
And we've had a turn show before, right? You guys take about like 6 days to turn a property, right? Meaning like
I believe the turn team is averaging around 6 days, around a week. to turn a
somewhere
property.
around the week,
Correct.
right? Person moves out. Turn means that it has been all the little fixes that need to happen for it
Correct.
to be marketable and people check it out and it won't be a detriment happen. And at that point, it's
That's
being marketed and that's when you
correct.
start tracking it.
Yep,
Okay.
release the market. That's when we start tracking it, and then it goes all the way until the time we move it in. Now we do break that up into different segments as well. So we have days on market, which is the first half of that. So the time it is marketed to the time we take a deposit on a property. And then the back end of that we call depth to move in, DTMI. So the time we've taken the deposit till the time somebody actually moves into the home. So we look at those two pieces right there make up the whole of market to move in.
How do you have those numbers in your head, kind of like where they're at right now, where they were, kind of how they moved? You want to
Yeah,
give us like
so market to move is a little tricky because when we ended the quarter four with such a large volume of homes, you can imagine some of them were sitting on the market a little bit longer. So that days on market piece just kind of ballooned up. That one's the one that varies probably the most for us. So ending quarter four, we were around 70 days, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. I might have to double
70
back
days
on
market
that,
to move
about
in around
70
there.
days.
Oh, okay.
I might double back on that. But ending quarter one, we were at 74 days. So it went up a little bit, but people might be like, hey, well, if you had this great performance, why does it go up?
Yeah.
Well, we're renting so many homes that we're cleaning off a lot of these long down market homes. So really with market to move in, when you see this a quarter like we had in Q1 with great performance, you'll see the market to move in kind of trail off a little bit later. So end of Q2.
So it's like a lagging indicator.
Yeah, it's a lagging indicator. In Q3, you'll see it kind of catch up a little bit there because everything that's left is fairly new release. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. And then for the second piece of that is the depth to move in. We float around 15 days for that. We were at 15 and a half days in quarter four, if my recollection is correct. And then in quarter one, we finished at about 16 days. So that means by the time someone took a deposit, it took them about 16 days to move into the home. Because obviously there's other, expenses to consider. You got to pay the first month's rent, your additional fees and everything to move in. But 16 days is pretty good.
So 16 days is deposit to move in. That means like, oh, this is the home for me. I put a deposit. 16 days later, they start paying
Signing
rent.
the lease, correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What is the target time to rent? Like get a deposit is what Jag is asking.
Yeah, so days on market. Yes, our target days on market is 45 days on market. So if you put that, kind of all together, we got the 45 days on market with a 15-day, depth to move in timeline target. We're looking at 60 days is what we really want from the time it's marketed to the time you have the property's cash flowing, a lease is signed is what we're looking
Got
at.
it. So right now, as far as like the big number of overall rentals, right? Like market to move in is still higher than that target date, but that's a lagging indicator.
Correct.
So you expect that number to mature over this next quarter to get closer to
Correct.
that 60 days?
Correct. Because everything well, I shouldn't say everything, but most of what we moved in quarter one were a lot of properties that were available in Q4, some even in Q3. So as they move in, they just have that long timeline already that's already established. So
Oh, it's already baked in there.
yeah, it's already baked in.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, cool. Ed Lowry, LinkedIn Lowry says, when you report the number of homes in inventory, is that rentals owned by investors or does it include homes yet to be sold to investors?
The second, yes. So it includes everything, every single property that we manage. So homes that clients own and homes that we are going to sell to clients. It's a great question.
Got it. Sweet. Jag is making an assumption. She's saying, since the make ready is standard, why do you not use previous picks to start marketing as soon as the property is about to fall vacant?
I think he's talking about some of our probably, correct me if I'm wrong, Jag, but I think you're talking about some of our new construction properties. And do we start marketing them sooner than like during the turn process, right? Start marketing at that point. This is probably a question that's best for the marketing team.
For the marketing team, yeah.
And also, Greg would probably know a lot about this, but from what I do understand, I think it's just tough doing that because you never know that firm timeline. And when you want to pre-market something, you want to say, hey, coming soon, available at this time. And it's hard to know that time depending on the turn. It's my guess, but.
Okay. So you're not on the marketing side,
I'm not on the marketing side.
You're on the operationally, like, get this thing filled
Get this
side,
thing filled.
right? Okay, cool. So Jag, we can address that when GC gets back. Let's talk about rents, man.
Yeah.
How are rents doing?
Rents are good. Rents are good. Again, another projection I'll give you from MMG. They thought rents would creep up a little bit this year. Not a lot, but I think they projected at 2% this year. So what we did, we looked at our data, and we got a little bit better. It's not a big jump. We jumped up about a third of a percent. So if you're looking at the 2% of the year, it's probably right in line with what they thought. And if you think about it, if inventory is staying fairly flat and demand is increasing, you would expect rents to slightly
Start
increase.
going up.
So we are seeing that. We're on that trend. It's not going to be anything like 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah.
But we will see it go up, and when you're trending up, it's always a good thing.
Got it. So just go back to the you mentioned MMG. MMG is that like the research kind of like arm that you follow?
Yeah, consulting firm out of Boston that I probably nerd out on a little bit too much. But
All right. They claimed that rents would go down. Is that what you're saying?
No, they said that rents would go 2% for the year.
Okay.
They did claim that rents would probably take a slight dip in Q1, and I think it was about 1% if I'm not mistaken. But we went up slightly, so we reversed that. So if their data is correct, which I think they're usually pretty good in the ballpark, we're right in line. We're kind of beating the market, and we're doing well there. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you guys are kind of outperforming that a little bit keeping up outperforming that report. Average rents, kind of like what are the properties that you're renting right now? What's the number that you're getting these days?
Yeah. So the average rent we're doing, and this figure does not include anything that's currently in a lease. This is purely what we rented and took a deposit on in quarter one.
Got it. So like I have my house in Minosa, they're paying $1,100 a month. That's not included in this number. It would only be factored on like my turn that I have coming up, or like if I had a turn that happened right now, what you signed for.
Yeah, what we took a deposit on.
Yeah.
So in quarter one of this year, we were averaging about $1,421 per unit. Obviously that's quite a mix of different property types as well.
Yeah.
Comparing that to quarter four, we're at about 14.15, 14.16. So again, that's where you see that it's about a third of a percent jump. So it's pretty good there.
Yeah.
It's not huge and staggering, but it looks like we're on pace with what everything has been telling us, and we're actually beating the quarter one projection. So very good.
Sweet. All right. So what did that look like? Q4 of last year. Was Q4 of last year also kind of like a 1,400 average rent? Was it lower?
Yeah, it was 14.15, 14.16 in quarter four of last year. I don't know the number of quarter three off the top of my head, but I do know overall in 2024 there was a slight, they kind of just paused and plateaued. There wasn't really there wasn't really any major increase and there wasn't really any major decrease because there were still quite a few starts that were still finishing up last year.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2023, I believe, was the bigger year. So we just had to wait for some of that inventory to burn off to get back to a point where things really start ramping up again.
Got it. And then feeling of homes that are not like as a percentage of the portfolio, homes right now that are in that in between that are in that market to move in date. What's the term? It's not vacancy, right? Vacancy is homes that are in turn and homes or whatever.
Yeah, you're talking about available rate.
Available homes.
Yes, correct. Yes, so my team, I know available rate is something that's very standard within the industry.
Yeah.
I love to like slice things up to make things kind of micro focus for my team.
Yeah.
So we look at available rate, excuse me. Available rate is anything that is currently available on the market versus what we have under management. The difference with vacancy rate is everything that's available and everything that is currently in a turn versus everything under management. So the vacancy rate's always going to be a little larger than available rate. Currently, our available rate's sitting around 3.2%.
3.2%.
I would imagine if you did the vacancy, it's probably around like 4.2% because there's obviously homes we haven't going through the turn.
3.2% in like a $6,000 portfolio is about 200 homes, something like that?
Correct. I think we're at, I think opened this week. He opened yesterday with 218 homes on the market. So yeah,
it's public math right there.
That's good math. That's great.
Right here. It's just right here, right on camera and everything, right? And under the lights.
That's great.
You mentioned your team, AJ. How big is your team? Like, describe to me kind of like the operation that you manage.
Yeah, so it's myself and two supervisors, Tasha and Dashim, who do really, really great work. And then from there, we have a few admins that'll help us out with, clerical work. We have a few setters as well. We have 3 admins, and then we have 3 setters as well. And setters are folks that'll really help us out, like getting to the phones. If our agents can't get to the phones, they will do a lot of our outbound calls for us, just trying to touch points on leads, people who self-schedule showing. So they'll just have another touch point. Hey, I saw you scheduled a showing. If you need any help, let us know. I can get you in touch with an agent just so we can try and get them to our closers. Currently on the team, we have 10 agents. We're trying to go to 11.
Okay.
So we have a plethora of agents on the team, different, experience levels. Want to shout out Anna, especially. She's been with us for 10 years, our longest tenured agent. She just got back from her little.
Oh, you get a 10-year trip when you're here, right?
Yeah. She got her 10 years. She just got back.
Describe that. I don't think people know about it.
Yeah. So JWB is really, really awesome for the 4 guys. What they will do is if you work here for 10 years, they will sponsor your 2-week sabbatical for you once you hit your 2-year or your 10-year mark. So everybody kind of picks and chooses where they go.
Like a dream vacation.
It's a dream vacation, essentially.
Yeah, that's cool.
Anna just went and was all around South Africa and all that stuff. So she had a blast.
Yeah, cool. All right, awesome, man. All right, so 10 or so agents, maybe 6 other people, about 16 people?
Yeah, about 16 people is correct. I think 15 to be exact, but
okay,
yes, correct.
Yeah, 15 people, 16 with you.
Yeah, that's true. It's
good math. Good math. I'm telling you,
don't
man.
include myself.
Don't sleep on the math. Don't sleep on the public math out here. Okay. Have you guys been? So the story that we've been telling on the show with leasing has been right, like soft rental market. We heard it in the community. People were like in pain because as it kept up, that's a very sensitive situation. Talk to me about kind of like the pressure of the last like 6 months and how it's like unfolded with the team and how you lead through that.
Yeah, it's really tough for us, and I think myself, I know the agents. We take it personally, right? And I think I mentioned Anna earlier, but Anna's also a client, right? So her property hits the market every once in a while, and she goes through the same pain points, all of our clients do. Sometimes we just got to take a step back and just go, hey, this is where we're at. It's not fun, but how do we get through this? We don't want to really sit with the status quo and go, okay, well, the market's telling us it's soft. We're just kind of accept it as it is and go, oh, well, it is what it is. Yeah. We really want to try and push, and we'll try to figure things out in these turns and be like, hey, is there something we can do better that others aren't doing, that we can kind of push performance? And so we use all kinds of different strategies and tricks and come up with ideas and contests to try to make things happen. And just know when you guys are going through that pain point, we're going through it as well. And we're just trying to get everything we can going rolling to try and make something happen for you.
you were telling me this before the show, and I was like, "Hey, what's your like philosophy?" Right, like
Yeah.
my typical kind of like prompting of people to open their minds before the show. And you're like, I'm a continuous improvement guy. Like I'm always looking how to like not settle and continue going. Can you walk me through kind of like the last 6 months in the leasing department, the things that y'all kind of like threw up on the board and what you implemented and how you went through that process?
Yeah, we went through a lot. So yeah, I'm a firm believer, and even when things are going great, you should always try to push forward and get better because I think there was like the old saying, I think Michael Jordan said it, like, while you're not practicing, you're I don't know, not enemy, but your opponent is over there
To him, it
practicing,
was an
right?
enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you always want to be trying to get better,
yeah.
right? No matter how well things are going or how not well things are going. So
Mhm.
what we did is we kind of went back to the drawing board and we said, hey, what are some things that we can do that's low hanging fruit and try this? So with our setters, we had a bunch of leads that we call inactive leads. So these are folks that will click on a property on one of our websites or maybe one of Zillow's websites or something like that, but they never call into the office. They never schedule a showing. They're just kind of sitting there. It's literally just a name and a phone number. So what we did with these folks is we had our setters start aggressively calling these folks with outbound and then trying to push them to do a setting, or showing, excuse me, to move forward in the process. So that was one thing that we did. We looked at that's
So
gone pretty
outbound of
successfully.
reactivating kind of like dead or like lost leads.
Well, not even lost. These folks never did anything. They literally just
Got it.
clicked on a property at some point
Got it.
and
So
just
barely registered. Hey, let's bring
exactly.
them in manually.
Yeah, and a lot of these folks are the window shoppers. They just like clicking and looking at
Hmm.
houses. They probably watch a lot of HGTV and stuff like that, right? There's folks like that. We
Yeah.
get it. But some of these folks were legitimately looking for homes, and we were able to push them forward in the process, and that's
Interesting.
been successful.
That's
So
cool. Okay.
that was a great thing. Also, more touch points with our syndicated showing. So I'm sure the clients are aware that we have the ability where people can go online and actually schedule showings for themselves. And what we did is we kind of left our hands off it at that point because we thought
Like a virtual showing, or they schedule and they can show up and there's a lockbox and they can use
they
it.
can schedule, and there's a lockbox at
Okay.
the property.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like, they have to have their ID, it has to be valid and syndicated and all that for protections. But a lot of times we just let people kind of do that and then call us when they were kind of ready. And we were like, let's not do that anymore. Let's actually call those folks. Hey, I saw you scheduled a showing. Are you going to go to the showing?
Mm,
Okay, cool. If you have any problems, you need to let me know. Or if you need the application, I'll go ahead and send it to you now.
got it.
Hey, I saw you actually attended a showing. Okay, cool. You haven't called us. Well, here's an application. Did you see it in your email? If you
Mm.
need it, fill it out. I can get you an agent now. And those things have been very successful for us.
I mean, as you're saying, I'm a marketer, right?
Yeah.
So like as you're saying this, I'm like, oh man, this is just like pipeline activation, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the same thing that a go-to-market team thinks of, right?
Yeah.
Like what are the satellite people that have clicked on something and how do we like bring them further down the funnel? How do we increase show up rate, right?
Yeah,
Like so
exactly.
it's not just like I clicked on an ad and then I did something and I'm just expecting you to come here, but like increasing show up rate,
Hmm.
you're looking at all these different kind of like conversion points and how you can increase each different conversion
Yep.
point ends up adding to bigger numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think it was great. We always wanted to do these things, but I think our setters really helped us expand that capacity and that volume. Our agents we have, hundreds and hundreds of phone calls coming in, so they're always on the phone. So to have them stop answering phones to do this didn't make sense. They just didn't have the capacity. So
Mhm.
we brought on our setters to help us out there, and they've been a breath of fresh air for us. So
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So you ramped up like the intensity, right? Like
yes,
you ramped up the
exactly.
manpower. Anything else? Anything else that you did?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the things, some things we did, and this was probably earlier last year, but I think we're seeing the fruition of it is employment and verification of income. Previously we had to do it very manually. It was very like, hey, you give me your pay stubs, I'm going to call your employer. A lot of employers, they want you to send a signed form, and that could take days, and they don't get back, and you got to keep calling. And what that does is it makes the process of getting approved much longer. So by the time I send this form out, it might be 6, 7 days later before I can get you approved because your employer decided to reach out to me and let me know that yes, you're still employed there and yes, you make X amount of money. Well, there's been a couple platforms that we've been using since last year, Verifast and Argyle, and both of these systems will allow us to Basically people can log in with their employer data. So, if you log into your employer like every day, you can do that or your payroll
Oh,
provider.
cool. Kind of like logging in with Facebook, but logging in through your like intranet or whatever.
Exactly.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
it's instantly, it'll pull all your pay records from your
Huge.
employer payroll provider. So we're able to like reduce, approval timelines. I think
Yeah, you're
before
reducing
this,
friction,
yeah, exactly.
right? Like I
So
don't have to go find something
exactly.
and turn it in. That's
Because
awesome.
they can go to other places and maybe other places do things a little differently, or they're people always looking around. So we want to be the fastest to it and get them into our pipeline and help them make a decision quickly with us. So it's been great. We've reduced it down to about a little over a day and a half. It used to be upwards around like 6 days. So I mean, we're flying.
I buy way more stuff when my credit card pre-populates at the checkout
Yeah.
card. Right. So like that's another conversion
Yeah,
point that you
yeah,
guys are optimizing
exactly.
down the funnel. Anything else?
Let's see.
I'm just gonna keep asking anything
No,
else until you say
well,
that's it.
there is one
Yeah.
thing I'll just kind of share this with you guys now. We did this this year.
Okay.
So we hopefully should see the fruits of the labor later.
Mhm.
And this is really kind of speaks to our clients as well. So you guys all know we build a new construction home product. Well, with those, we have about 10 to 15 floor plans that we build pretty consistently and all over Jacksonville. So what we did is we got back to, hey, we got such a large inventory. Let's actually learn these floor plans. So we did an education course with our agents on these floor plans to really kind of learn them like the back of their hand. So hopefully going forward, when prospects are calling them in and let's say a home rents that they wanted, they know that floor plan that they're looking for. They know alternate floor plans that could work in different areas. And then at that point, it's just like, hey, I just got to find this floor plan on this side of town for you. And, it should be a breeze there. I know you're going to ask, and what else? But there is one more thing that we did. Assign properties. Another thing that we did is we assign properties to the agents. So, and what this means, it doesn't mean the agents can only rent a property assigned to them. But again, it's more in the spirit of knowledge of the inventory. So basically, we divided that inventory up amongst our agents, and we said, here's 20 homes that are assigned to you. Here's 20 assigned to you. Basically, that's kind of like their homework, and like you should know these 20 properties like the back of your hand. You know what street it's on. You know how many other
Ownership. You gave them ownership
of this inventory, so they can speak to these like knowledge experts instead of trying to know like all 400 properties. I know these 20 like the back of my hand, and I'm really good at these 20. And hopefully they can pitch those to our prospects.
Man, that's really not. How'd you come up with that? Like, what was the insight for that? Because everything else, I'm like conversion point, optimization. How'd you think of like, I want to make you a subject matter expert on the property, and that's going to help?
Yeah, so I don't want to take full credit for it. Our director Mel really pushed me to come up with this plan, but I did bring it to them a while ago when we were scouting some other companies. It was something that was fairly popular. They assigned it. The thing we didn't like about it though is when they assigned it to an agent can only rent those homes, and it felt kind of steerish a little bit, and that's the part we didn't feel great about. But we did think there was something there. And when Mel brought the idea, it's like, what if we assign them, but we allow them to rent anything that's there? And that's just their knowledge base. And I was like, that's great. That kind of serves all purposes. So, yeah, it's been going pretty well. So hopefully maybe I'm on the show later. If you guys will bring me back, I can update you on how that's going. I don't know.
We'll see how these numbers perform, AJ. We're metrics driven
let's
as well.
get the numbers up. So
let's get the numbers up. Let's get the numbers. All right, let's do a couple of questions here. Patron Santorios, Michael Santorios says, is JWB using any predictive analytics or AI to anticipate leasing performance or optimize pricing strategy on a per property basis?
Not that I'm aware of on pricing strategy, but TBD. We may be using some AI in the future for helping us with our operations. It's not going to be pricing. It's going to be more about contacting leads and pushing them further in the process. So
Interesting.
TBD on that.
Anything you're using AI for right now, man? How's your AI game?
My AI game is probably not super great. I really use AI. I'm limited to help me, spell check everything I write. It's really about
helping you write better emails.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Milady, Jag Chata, another good question. How do you actively try and stay nimble like a small company despite your size? For example, small investors may do a turn using guerrilla marketing tactics. I think you just kind of like expressed how you try new things and how you stay nimble. Do you think a smaller investor can outmaneuver you in guerrilla marketing tactics? Like,
I don't think so. I think our marketing team, I think marketing is one of those things that you gain a little bit more power with size. Our marketing team is fantastic, and I think a lot of our results I will attribute to them. They've done a lot of different things for us in marketing through different channels, making things a little bit easier, attribution, kind of learning that journey, which has really helped us out and helped us close on some of these. Um, as far as the nimble stuff, I still think of us as a small company. I know we're a larger. It's hard to say that when you manage almost 6,000 homes, but
Yeah.
I still feel like we are a small company because we're not like the national brands. But the way we stay nimble is like I said earlier. I just always want to think like, what can we do to get better, no matter what environment we're in, whether we are breaking records, whether we're not breaking records and we're behind and we're not hitting KPIs. Like it's an everyday struggle is always how do we get better? And if
Yeah.
we can always have that mindset, I think that'll always kind of keep us nimble and keep us at the forefront.
I find that we talk about TMM every once in a while on the show.
Oh,
I talk about TMM outside the show all the time when I'm talking about like business practices, right?
Tuesday morning meeting.
Tuesday morning meeting. And the to me, the idea that every department here stands up in front of everybody else every single week and says, this is what I did last week. This is what I said I was going to do last week. This is if I hit it or I didn't, and this is what I'm going to do next week.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that keeps alive this kind of like gritty, get it done, own the outcome, iterate until you get it right kind of like thing because you don't want to look like a chump week over week.
Yeah, you do not. Yeah, you are correct. So our TMM, our Tuesday morning meeting, every morning or every Tuesday, we get up, we do predictions. So we get up there in front of the entire company. Every department has a representative, and we say, hey, we are going to tell you what our main KPI was last week, and the one we promote is rentals. And then we'll tell you what we predicted for that week, and it can be short, it can be over, it can be dead on. And that's the accountability piece. If we're coming up there and telling you, hey, we're going to do 50 next week, and then we come up there and we say we did 30, well, it looks like we're not really doing what we said we were going to do. So it's like it makes you think about your process and what you're doing and how do I get back up here and say the right things. But then also while you're up there, you have to give your prediction for next week as well. So it was great in quarter one. We were kind of nailing our predictions, so that's always fun. But
Yeah.
it's fun because when you're ahead of the curve, you're like, yeah, it's doing great, but like, how do I keep this going, right? Like that's where you
That's not easy,
to
man.
get better. So
Yeah. I'm coming off of this, with this like AI company that I was telling you about. Like I just had the biggest kind of like professional quarter of my life last quarter as far as like outcome that I drove in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I find myself really struggling this month with the idea of like how do I keep that up?
Yeah.
Right? Like so I don't know, man. You as a leader of like 15 people, how do you just had this like big win, right? Like you just set this like record breaking quarter. How are you thinking of kind of like leading people through like the trough of like the excitement that happened and moving forward and making this a new normal as opposed to like this like blip that happened?
I think what I always try to communicate to our team is I want you to remember where we were. I want you to remember where we're at and, where we think we can be, right? We've been at points where things weren't going great, right? And we've been there. And then we saw how quickly they can flip if we keep an open mind, we try new things, and we just stay aggressive, right? Sometimes it's not all about reinventing the wheel. Sometimes it's just making a few small tweaks and trying to get back to basics, and we can kind of make things happen. So, and then I always tell people, and make sure you celebrate the wins, right? I pointed out, I was like, man, doesn't this feel great? Like this is a great spot to be in. Wouldn't we love to be here again?
Yeah.
Think about all the hard
Remember
work
this
we put in
feeling.
to get here.
Yeah.
If we can put that same hard work and effort in again, we have a good chance of getting here. There's other things that obviously have to fall in place, but we do our part, and that's really what matters. So
You've been here for a while, right? Have you been here 10 years?
not yet. 9 years. So just hit 9 years.
Where's your trip going to be next year?
I haven't really thought about that. It's funny. Everybody keeps asking me, and I have not thought about it at all. It's very odd. I don't know.
That's cool though.
When you lived all over the world your whole life, it's like, I don't know where we go.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I just kind of want to like we were just talking a little bit about you, right? Did you join JWB straight out of college, or it was like as you were moving to Jacksonville? You told me that you were like looking at working for like FIS, which is Fortune 500, or JWB, and you decided to pick like the smaller team, the growth, the stuff. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, so it was right after college.
Yeah.
I majored in finance and minored in real estate, and I knew that real estate was going to be what I wanted to get into. I really just looked in Jacksonville because I reconnected with my high school sweetheart. It worked out. We're married now, so
Okay.
that was great.
No, that's a good call.
So I knew I was moving to Jacksonville, and I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and try and do something with the degree. Um, and I literally Googled real estate developers in Jacksonville. That's
Yeah.
where I started because that's where I wanted to go. And I found a few developers, but I kept doing a couple searches and JWB kept popping up. And then obviously it took some time to learn about what this company did. And I was like, oh, that's really unique because turnkey real estate is very unique.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of everything. So kept an eye, looked at a couple roles and a leasing role opened and obviously the rest is history. But at that same time, obviously you want to hedge your bets, right? So I did, apply with FIS because, I wanted to, obviously my degree was in finance and I said, I can do finance and
Yeah.
finance is okay. I like it. It's not my passion. I'm really more excited about the real estate stuff, but just wanted to be smart and have a hedge bet. And thankfully it worked out. I got a few rounds into theirs and I got to email them, hey, I'm taking another opportunity. I appreciate you. So
And now 9 years later, tell me about kind of like when did you first start like moving up?
here,
Yeah.
oh, that was I started in 2016, 2018, I believe.
Okay.
I became a supervisor, and then it was right after COVID, 2021, I became the leasing manager. I believe my timelines are correct there.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
off by a year or two, but yes.
Yeah.
around
So
that time.
there's been that upward like I've never been somewhere for 9 years, right? Like I think the longest I've been is 7 years. So like I assume that it has to have like there have to be continuing challenges and continuing opportunities and like you see stuff ahead of you
Yeah.
that's happening. And anything that you've learned in these like last by being here that you didn't expect to have learned about?
Anything that I've learned about that I didn't expect to learn about. I think that's a really good question.
That's a tough question, man.
That is a tough one. No, it's
Yeah.
okay. I like it.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect to learn about. I think there is a lot of stuff, and I'm going to bring up TMM again, because during TMM, our Tuesday morning meetings, we have every team. While we do the prediction piece, there's usually one team that will present on something they're working on, some new development they've employed, or just an educational piece. And I think there's a lot of things, so it's hard to point on one, but like every time a different department stands up, whether it be the service team, the construction team, you just learn about things. You're like, I would have never thought about that, and that would have been an issue, but you understand it and you come to learn. So I think it's really everything. I think there is something I legitimately walk out here every day and there's something new you learn about the world of real estate because we have an open pod system. I don't know how many of you have been to our office, but you hear other departments talking, you're like, wow, that's what you're going through. That's wild. Heard lots with, hazardous material under them. And I'm like, I didn't even think that would happen. How does that even get there? But
Interesting.
it does. So
I mean, I just echo with it, right? Because I feel like I've learned so much from JWB from about like just TMM,
yeah,
right? I mean, the importance of core values is something that, kind of knew about because you read about it in business, but I've never seen it in action the way that you see it in TMM. The importance of like public accountability and just kind of like shining a spotlight across departments and stuff like that. Like the approach to leadership and the business model and everything has been so eye-opening for me that I wonder like inside the belly of the beast, like how obvious it is, but it sounds like it like dawns on you that this stuff is like being here from college to now. Do you have a sense of like how different of a working environment this is and how most people treat their jobs?
I do, and it's a different way that you might think. So a couple of years ago, I actually went back and finished my master's degree, and in that program, it was a weekend warrior program. I had to go every weekend down to Gainesville to finish that. But obviously, people in my cohort were all kinds of industries, all different kinds of employers. Most worked for Fortune 500s. And just hearing their experiences with where they worked, it was just very evident to me that things were very different where I'm at.
What's the difference? Like, how would you describe that difference?
I think here, obviously, I think JWB, and a lot of businesses say this, but JWB genuinely cares about the people that work within these walls.
Yeah.
And they don't see them as just a resource to accomplish X, right?
Mhm.
Where the feel I got from a lot of those other folks in my cohort was a lot of places they were just like, and not all of them, some of them had some great employers, but
Mhm.
a lot of them were, you're here to produce X, and that's kind of what we need, and
That's
that's
where it
what the
starts and it
company is, and
ends.
that's really it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
was, and I think it's just really cool that the time and commitment they put into us as individuals. I mean, really, you just can't really imagine otherwise. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think it's I think that nails it right there. Like I've had these aha moments of like I've never seen Alex or Greg or any of the Adams say anything other than the number one advantage we have is our people.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
and it's just like it's such like so ingrained on this idea that the team is the difference.
Yeah.
And like how you treat the team and how you enable the team and how you invest in the team and how you give them opportunities is like the compounding effect of
Yeah.
like what's been happening here, which has been really,
Yeah.
really
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. Fun. Can I give a fun story on that? Actually, I
Please,
think
yeah.
this kind of sums that up. But
Yeah.
last quarter we had a meeting with leadership, and we do this every quarter. We're kind of going over KPIs, metrics, all that good stuff. And our CEO, Adam Eisman, was in there, and he asked us about a past employee, and it just came out of left field. We're like, what do you mean? This person left us months ago, and he's like, "Oh, I just wanted to know how he's doing. Has anybody talked to him? Have we kept up? We should check on him and make sure he's doing okay." And I was like, "Man, it's just so genuine. Like,
That's
where would
interesting.
you
Yeah.
ever hear that?" It's
Yeah.
just, it struck me off guard, and I thought it was really awesome. So,
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Personal note, I asked you this before we finish here, right? Because
real hard work.
I
Okay.
see content, like I see content as a legacy to a certain extent,
Mhm.
right? Like this recording will
Yeah.
now live on forever.
Exactly.
And, I was just home for Easter. I got to sit down with my dad and talk to him for like an hour and a half. Like I just kind of podcasted with him,
Yeah. That's awesome.
And yeah, so it's cool, right? Like I was like, Dad, if you had a podcast when you were 40, I'd be obsessed with it right now. Like so just kind of like where you're at in your career and the things that you've learned. You're like 44 years old. We're around the same age. You have kind of like a life philosophy around like curiosity and improvement and humility. You want to kind of just like tell me about that and how you've developed that.
I don't know how I develop it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of always been there, and I've probably just harnessed it a little bit. But yeah, me, I'm just the type of person who is always going to humble myself and understand that there is always something more to learn. There's always somewhere to get better at. There's always somewhere to improve. And I think at least for me, if I keep that mindset, I think it will always keep pushing me forward in whatever I want to do. It's just be humble enough to understand, like I don't know everything. There's always something new that's going to happen. There's always something new to learn and a new experience. And I think that kind of keeps me with my level-headedness too, because I'm just like, hey, something new is going to happen, and we'll just have to figure it out and get through it. So
And this is just something that dawned on you. Like it hasn't been like a formative like thing.
yeah,
You think from moving around as an as a Air Force brat, like
maybe. I
yeah,
mean, maybe if you think back, it was probably because some of those things I knew was going to happen, and there was always something to learn
yeah,
in my childhood because whatever country I ended up in, there's
yeah.
some new custom to learn,
It's
or
perspective,
yeah,
right?
it
Of
was
how
like
big the world is and how
yeah,
small we are, right?
yeah. So I mean, there's always new people there, so it probably was a lot from that, but I
Yeah.
think obviously in my later years where it probably all kind of melded together, and I was like, okay, I finally get it, like what's happening. So
That's cool, man. This was awesome, dude. I
this
appreciate
was
you doing
great.
this. This is fun. You had fun? I
I
told you it
had
was
a
gonna
lot
be
of
fun,
fun.
right?
I
Easy.
hope the numbers are up so I can come back.
We'll see. We'll see.
Are we breaking
We'll,
records
we'll see
today?
how it ages out. We'll see how it ages out. But this is great. Definitely glad we got to memorialize this momentous kind of like quarter for your team, man. I think
Yeah.
it's as a leader, I find that sometimes it's real easy to tell other people to like feel it and celebrate it and enjoy it. But I hope you've enjoyed it, man.
Yeah,
You know?
we have.
Yeah.
It's great. We celebrated with the team, and I mean, hopefully the clients enjoy too. I mean, we got 600 of your properties deposits, and they're moving in, so hopefully you guys are feeling that too.
Yeah.
Apologies for some hanging out in the market, but hey, we're pushing and moving, and just know we are always working to try and get them moved in for you because we understand the pain point.
Love it, man. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate the community showing up
Thanks for
here,
having
right?
me.
Like taking an hour in the middle of your day to learn about real estate, to learn about leasing, to find out the magic behind JWB here. Never goes unnoticed. Next week we're gonna have a new client journey. We're gonna be spotlighting somebody from the community. So surprise on who that's gonna be so far. Slash we're still looking for someone. So if you want to come on and be in the client journey, we would love to spotlight you next week. That would be awesome. And from now till then, we always have like one final piece of advice. You know what it is?
Well, do you want to give it or can I give it?
Go ahead.
No, you go for it. I'll let you have it.
All right. Don't be average. I'll see you
Do
next week.
not be